Joe Sir, myself, Victorious. Good morning.
And we're going to keep our focus on the economy. You can watch that in full Zoom interview tonight at 6:30 on KUAM TV8 with Nestor Lecanto. But keeping with the economy, we have in our Zoom room, we have Senator James Moylan, former senators, but senators-elect, Tony Atta, Chris Duenas, and Frank Bloss Jr. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining the show. On yesterday, we got this release about bills that they plan on introducing on the very first day, inauguration day, next week. And these bills are proposing to let's get Guam moving forward. And so I invited them onto the show because I wanted to hear more about their different proposals. So we'll start with you, Senator James Moylan, if you could tell us how this all came about.
Sure. Good morning, Bree, and good morning, everyone, and my colleagues here as well. Well, this has been the discussion for some time, and since I was in the 35th Guam legislature, these are also things we were looking at before the pandemic happened. But now even more so with the pandemic, we need to help our small businesses especially. And these are just a few of probably several more that are coming down in the pipeline from the Republican Party. And we wanted to kick this off with things that we see as important. And with me, with Senator Chris Duenas and Senator Tony Atta and Senator Frank Bloss, these are some of the items we want to move forward as soon as possible. And we figure we put this out there and let the people know that we've started. And on Monday, coming up here when we swear in, these are some of the items that we'll be introducing, such as the reduction of BBT and the reducing the million or more for property and for a couple of years, just basically putting that on the side for a couple of years. And then also the Dave Sanchez amendment, increasing that from 250 to 500,000. These are just a few of the items that we feel will help the small businesses get started again. And it's good. Of course, just the last couple of days, President Trump has given us additional federal funding, and that's more than welcome. But we also need to do something for the people of Guam and to get our people back to work. And that's the main emphasis of this. And we're hoping to put that out there and work with the 36th Guam legislature as well to get these measures moving forward to get our people back to work.
What sort of feedback have you guys received since announcing this Let's Get Guam Moving Forward initiatives? I guess we could start with you, Senator Bloss.
Well, thanks, Bree, and good morning, everybody. Well, the feedback has been, first off, I'm a small business owner myself, and taking that from that perspective, for small business, it's a start for welcome relief. Obviously, this is but three bills that would fit in this initiative, along with the initiatives and what I ran on, which is basically a prescription for getting Guam's economy moving again. And so this is but many others, I am sure, from all members of our caucus of the Republican senators to move this forward. For many months we've heard it. I've heard it from many of the business owners and many of the employees themselves, that we've got to do something. There's got to be something to get us back on track. A lot of businesses have lost, and what's even scarier is, and it's not being talked about, is the exodus of the brain trust, the brain power. We have many families that are moving for lack of a better term, greener pastures, and we're losing these people, and we've got to find a way to be able to not only start the businesses up again and get them running, but get these people back. I think that also what's in this mix, and we're also discussing, it's one thing to open a business, another thing to make sure that the business can operate, or there are people that can come into these stores, into these restaurants, into these establishments. And those are things too that we're going to continue to work on. Is this the only three that are going initiatives or bills that we're going to work on? Definitely not. This is a start.
Senator Ada?
Hi, good morning, Bree. Good morning, Andy. Good morning to the people of Guam. You know, these initiatives are to help sustain our island. We've seen over the past several months businesses that have been closing, and we cannot afford for any more businesses to close. And anything that we can do to bring people back to work, anything that we can do to sustain the businesses that are still operating, and anything that we can do to grow the economy is what we're working on. It's going to bring people to the table. And when you introduce legislation, it doesn't mean that that's set and final piece of legislation. It's about bringing people to the table to talk about how is it that we can work together, the administration, the legislative branch, the private sector, how is it that we can all come together and work together to move forward? This pandemic has brought on a lot of issues, and you know, it's a first-time thing for everyone. Working with that, I think that we can come together, and I know that we can come to resolutions with all the legislations that have been brought forward. But not only that, I think it's not about just introducing legislation. It's what we can do to work together and say, these are initiatives that have been introduced, but what is it that we can do outside of the box to grow our economy? And if we look at what, after we did our release, the governor came out with her own release on Economic Diversification Committee, and I'm glad that it's been brought to the table. So now, once the 36 gets inaugurated on Monday, hopefully that the administration will reach out to the legislative branch and say, let's work together. We got federal funds that are coming in. So how is it that we can leverage the federal funds to help with the private sector on our local side, right? So anything that we can do, again, we're going to do it, and hopefully bring working minds to the table, and a lot of thinking outside of the box for this upcoming year. So we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to working with everyone. It's not just just the legislative branch. It's going to be everyone in general to come together to make these things happen and to keep our island moving.
Right, and you kind of touched on it. The governor, she did issue her press release about establishing this economic diversification working group. Senator Duenas, did you get a chance to look at that release? I think Cisco was.
Good morning, Bree and Andy, and to all the KUAM family, and to the people of Guam. Belated Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you for inviting us here, and I want to thank Senator Jim Moylan for continuing the fight to help our small businesses and help our people. And I couldn't have thought of two more wonderful gentlemen to join than Frank and Tony. And we've had conversations with the rest of the caucus as well. Our great females are aware of a lot of the work we're working on. And obviously the governor is aware of what we're working on too, because of the release that she sent out. You know, Bree, let me just read a few of the initiatives that they talked about. And actually this derived from a white paper that was produced months ago, and that was actually launched over a month ago in an economic forum. I think that was led by the chamber. And if you look at some of these initiatives, alternative dispute resolutions, Guam captive insurance, Guam Trust Incentive Act program, relocation of high wealth businesses, individuals from Asia, pharmaceutical manufacturing, it goes on and on. And the fact of the matter, Bree, and I think you've probably covered a lot of these stories in the past, these initiatives have been in the pike for a long time, and I'm glad we're dusting off these issues, leading with Gita and the chamber to get forward and move on these things. Bree and Andy, you've seen this. Probably most, if not all, of these initiatives are going to require legislation. Probably the legislation, Bree, is going to include some sort of tax break. I want to give our businesses on Guam right now a tax break. They're invested here. They've been here, some of them for decades, some of them just a startup for a year. Look at the place that opened up to cut hair. Andy and I don't got to worry about that, but the cut down in Agana, they just were ready to open their doors when the pandemic hit. Yeah. They probably put $100,000 into that business. they could use this tax break right now to survive and be a business that'll be here for decades to come if they so choose to live on Guam. So before we take these wonderful initiatives, especially if many of them are going to require tax incentives, I say give our businesses on Guam a tax break, roll back the BPT, and invest in our people.
We actually have a question from one of our viewers, and I think this is a good one. Everyone wants to support the business community, but what about the actual workforce? People are leaving because senators refuse to raise Guam's minimum wage to match the high cost of living, where other places are willing to raise the minimum wage to meet their high cost of living. And I want to say that next year there is another minimum wage hike set in law that's supposed to occur. Are you guys planning on introducing legislation to roll that back or extend that implementation day, or what are you guys looking at?
You know, Bree, when you give initiatives like the rollback, the BPT, that actually helps the employees themselves as well, because then it brings it allows the business to hire more employees, or it empowers the business to give raises. So it's a trickle down effect. So what comes back to the business goes back to the employees again. And in my previous term in the legislature, I supported the minimum wage increase. These are things that we always need to look at. I know there's another hike that is another increment that's coming. I think it's here, right? So these are the things that we need to look at and say, perhaps if a business is struggling just to get back on its feet, Guam's minimum wage is higher than the federal minimum wage at this point. So we need to give the businesses that extra hump up to get back on track, to get their employees back on, because we can raise the minimum wage to any amount that we so desire. But if a business is not willing to hire, or they're not going to open, or they're not going to reopen, increasing it ain't going to help anyone. And at this point, what we need to do is to bring people back into the workforce and helping out anyway. It's like I said, it's going to be a community effort. It's going to be an island effort to get these businesses back on track, to get them reopened. And if it means that we need to look at pushing back the increase, then we have to take everything into consideration and think outside the box to get our island moving again.
Mm-hmm. Having said that,
Bria, along those lines, I think what's important is a minimum wage is a minimum wage, and it's a good question. But if the businesses are not thriving, if they don't have the resources they need to sustain themselves going forward, then it doesn't create a competitive workforce. A competitive workforce is what raises wages. I can't do what you and Andy do. If I did, I would be competing with you. And if another station hired me, maybe I'll make as much or more money because it's competitive and you guys do a great job. In the market, it's the same way. In the private sector, where I've been for 16 years and am now, it's very competitive. Real estate's competitive, everything's competitive. But if the businesses don't have the money, and if they're having millions of dollars sucked out of their their ability to run because it's funding the government of Guam at 5%, then they're not competitive. No wages are going to go up. You're going to be lucky to have a job. And so the fact of the matter is, you got to start from the beginning. And the beginning is to make sure that the business is whole and sound so that they can pay their valuable employees and those that compete for those jobs at the highest rate possible. And then when the economy gets strong again, we can start talking about those things. But it's a great question. But businesses have to survive and thrive before anybody has a job, or a well-paying job for that matter.
Yeah, in addition, Bree, we saw the consolidated revenue and expenditure report give us numbers that weren't what we projected. And they said we had the shortage from the BBT, and we had the shortage from the employee withholding tax as well, the two biggest revenues for the government of Guam. And why were those numbers down? Because the doors are closed.
Correct.
And we need to open the doors to help them do that. And how do we help them do that? Is by reducing their administrative costs so they can hire the employees once again. They can put the items back on their shelf. They can pay the rent that they haven't been paying for how long? Yes, we understand that there is a federal assistance program. The PPP is coming on back, and maybe some rent assistance as well. But there's a lot more with the business that they have to do in order to keep the brick and mortar going. So these are just initiatives to help. The increase in wages will come with the competition. The measure is there where it should start with another 50 cents within the new year. That's possibly something we may need to look at it as well. But the idea is that we got to get the business open. The businesses want to employ their employees. They want to keep their employees. They want to pay them well. So this is just a start, and we're hoping to get this going quickly.
How much of these initiatives, these three bills, did you guys get input from organizations like the Chamber of Commerce or GHRA?
Well, I think, Bree, part of that is collectively. Okay, collectively, amongst the four of us, and really, this was a discussion that we've had, with our other colleagues as well. There has been input from throughout the community. It's not just from the organized organizations. These are from the mom and pop stores that we visited on a daily basis.
Right.
This is from that restaurant owner that we meet, in line, at the post office. So this input, again, we just didn't come up with this overnight. Jim and I have had discussions basically over the last 3 weeks, at least, on different aspects of the bill. And even in those discussions, the bills there have been changes to their language, and a lot of that is attributable to these conversations that we're having with the community. I want to go back to the previous question, in that please, this is something that we want to do to help get our community back on track, to get our community moving forward. Part of that process, as a community member, are the businesses. I agree with my colleagues. It's one thing to talk about a minimum wage, but if there's no jobs to be offered, there's no wages to be provided. Right. And so that's what we're looking at.
Bree, and Andy and the team, I don't think it's a secret that the chamber, in the formation of the PAC during the election season, several of these initiatives are key initiatives that they put forward. And obviously that was because collectively, sometimes people think of the chamber as this big, huge monster of corporate conglomerates. The fact of the matter is, I believe over 80% of the chamber is made up of small businesses. Your business might even be one of them. And so the fact of the matter is that these are, like Senator Frank said, these are little guys. Bree, I'm from the tourism industry, and I got brothers and sisters that are just on their last penny, and they know that it's going to be a long time before they can get back on their feet. They've spent their savings, they're keeping their boats running, they're keeping their vans clean, they're doing everything that they can. They're trying to do local charters, they're doing everything that they can, and they're just saying, just give us a little bit of help. Just give us a little bit of help. My business was 800,000 last year. If this means 40,000 to me, it might be the difference whether I can hang on and wait to serve our guests, take them parasailing, take them out enjoying jet skis and other things on the water, or just close my shop and say, forget it, I'm leaving. And so the thing of it is the struggle is real. And so the input is from all the way, like Senator Frank said, from when we go and buy our empanada to we see our friends in the tourism industry that are just sitting there with their eyes open, thinking, when am I going to get back to work and back to life again? To big businesses like hotels that are saying, man, when we open up again, we just got to make sure that the economy is there to support us, and that people have spending power, and that only happens when tax rates are lower. So it's everybody, Bree, from all walks of life for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of tourism, the GVB board, they just held their last virtual meeting yesterday, and there's been this huge debate on selling cannabis in Tumon. And so GVB, they talked about their economic impact assessment on recreational marijuana, estimating a net loss of almost $500 million to Guam's tourism industry and the loss of over 4,000 jobs. Did you guys get a chance to look at that?
Well, Bree and Andy, I live down in Tumon, and it's other than the people running and riding their bicycles, that place is really a ghost town. There's a lot more fishes in the ocean and a lot of more boony dogs running around on the sidewalks and the streets as well. So if the GVB feels that this is something to be concerned about, I think we should really take a look at that. This is not something we need to, again, hurt the tourism from coming back and jump-starting us once again, because these initiatives won't work unless we have it will help somewhat, but the tourism is our main market. Until we do some more diversification of other industries to come on in, I think it's worth looking at. I think they should bring it back to the table and really reconsider a few things.
Anybody else want to chime in on that?
You know, Bree, I guess I'll go there because, once, as I said, 16 years in the tourism industry as a charter operation owner and working for other companies as a pilot and the like. My concern is what GVB's concern is. The tourism industry is over 50 years old. It's a known commodity. They know what they need to do to get Guam started again. The cannabis industry is a couple years old. We don't even have a lab. We don't even have the ability to put a product out right now, and we're worried about whether or not we're going to be able to offer cannabis in 2 months. I think the Cannabis Control Board and the legislature and others should heed the call of the tourism industry. I don't think they're saying no marijuana on Guam, no use of cannabis on Guam. I think what they're saying is that please, while we get our tourism industry in 2 months up and going again, can we do everything to save the image that we've been promoting for 50 years? And if you're going to do any type of cannabis retail or shops or the like, or outdoor entertainment, maybe you need to look at another district. And so I think that, saying no is never the answer, but saying let's work on this together, I think is the answer.
Mm-hmm. I did want to go to some of our comments on our stream. Paloma Ramos writes, the Democrats passed the amended Dave Santos Act. Small businesses pay a 3% BPT already. Who are they really trying to help?
I can chime in on that. Yes, and I voted yes on that amendment that we did pass. The Democrats and Republicans passed that. What we're doing is increasing it. That bill increased it to $250,000. We're recommending $500,000 additional help, still maintaining the 3%, but it's because of what GITA has advised us of. But the 2% discount will be up to the $500,000. So that's the incentive we're applying. This could mean a couple of $1,000s more of savings for the small businesses. So these are, again, just additional considerations to be done. Yes, it was done before, but let's do a little bit more. Obviously, we're not getting the BBT in, so how can we help the businesses function? And then it's interesting. I just want to go back a little bit. This BBT, when it went to 5%, that was only supposed to be for a 6-month period because of the Trump tax cuts. Then it was adjusted to 1 year. And then during a previous budget hearing in past legislatures, it was that the time frame was eliminated. And then we saw back when we finally got our audit report, it showed that we were in the black and a surplus of money. And but there was no, again, relief for the businesses. And what happens when you increase the taxes for the businesses? Did they absorb it? How it's absorbed is usually by increasing your cost of goods to your consumers, whatever product that you have to offer. And that affects the pocketbook of the folks that are working in order to purchase their peanut butter and jelly and consumables and all our other goods that we need. So it just all affects us. And what we really what I see these bills doing is that make the incentive, make it more business friendly, do these measures so we can bring back competition, open the doors, and then have competitive pricing between companies and competitive employment to attract good employees and competitive wages to keep our economy going.
I think, Bree, when you look at it, the bottom line is, what is it that we can do to keep our money on island? When you look at the media reports that $500 million has been paid out in PUA, but you don't see that circulating in the economy. You see the U.S. postal workers 3 times harder at work now, even working Christmas Day, because goods are coming in through the mail because people are ordering from off island. So we need to do everything that we can to ensure that the money that comes to Guam to help our economy, to help our people, circulates back in our economy and not goes right back off island to the online stores. Let's help our brick and mortar stores that are here, because they've been here and they will continue to be here if we continue to help them. But if we don't help them succeed and to sustain, then all we're going to see is the additional PUA funds that have been approved. Those monies are going to go off island as well. And the government coffers, again, is going to be short. So let's do what we can. A little bit of something is better than a whole lot of nothing. And currently right now, there's not much going on our island, and we need to do everything we can to sustain what we have today. We cannot afford any additional businesses to close. We cannot afford to keep having our money go off island. Let's keep it on an island. Let's help each other. And the way to do that is the government help the private sector, and the private sector to help the government and to help our people so that they can get back into jobs and provide for their families.
Mm-hmm. You know, one thing we have.
You know, Bree,
go ahead.
Mr. Ramos's question. You know, you're right. The Democrats did pass that 250,000, and we want to double it, because the bottom line is another few $1,000s, like Jim said, in the hands of a small business means they have more disposable income to either invest in their business, to have more money to spend in the community, like Tony was talking about, or more money maybe to outsource some of their services. Maybe they bring on a bookkeeper now, as opposed to doing it themselves, because they got that extra $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and they can concentrate more on their business. But you know, I go back to this, Bree. One thing that I always am interested on by pushback is, like, you look at the white paper and GITA and the Chamber of Commerce and the governor's initiatives. I don't see any quantification of that. I don't see any dollar figure associated with that. How much money is that going to bring in? I'm excited about it and I want it to happen. But where's the dollar figure? When I look at these businesses, Andy, I see every single one of them. Maybe 1 or 2 are a midterm at best outlook. I don't even see one short-term business here outlook. Maybe agriculture and aquaculture. But other than that, I don't see anything that this all looks like 2, 3, this looks like a 5-year plan to me. And so the bottom line is if they can come back to me and say, hey, these initiatives, if the legislature helps us and works on this white paper, and these initiatives are going to bring in $60 million in the next 14 months, great. Then we should reduce the BPT now and take care of our businesses that are here. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about Guam businesses. I want to talk about people who've put their entire life on this island. And I want to see numbers associated with the white paper, because the white paper is good, but it's just paper.
Senator.
It ain't green.
You know, this was something that was brought up during the lead up to the election, and I think it was you, Senator Ada, and Carlo Branch that kind of got into it. But somebody else is bringing it up in our chat here in the live stream. Would you support a locally created unemployment and payment protection program? And I guess Senator Ada, we'll start with you.
You know, like I said, I told Carlo back then, right, is there was nothing stopping the 35th Guam legislature, the Democrat-controlled legislature with a Democrat administration, from implementing it when they felt they should. They had this 35th legislature had 2 years. You know, if they felt that was a priority, they should have worked on it. I mean, they've done other pieces of legislation, so they should have worked on that. Why are they waiting till the 36th? I mean, of course, we have to look at everything that's going on. How does unemployment help our people? How does it help put food on the table for families in a time when they need it, when they're unemployed? Absolutely, we need to. I'm a small business owner, and naturally, that's what we have to look at, is how to help our employees. You know, it doesn't take it off the table, but then now you're associating that with an additional cost to the business. So how is it then that we can help the business to sustain? And I say sustain, because if we're going to put another fee or tax onto the businesses again, then that may be the stick that breaks the camel's back and says, you know what? Well, then I'm just going to close, because now it's no longer conducive to do business on Guam. And one by one, businesses can be closing. But if we slowly implement things like this, and you know what, let's bring it to the table. These are things that we can talk about, and I'm glad that they're bringing it up, because we need to talk about these things, because look what we've been through these past 11 months. And the PUA is what helped a lot of our unemployed people, our unemployed folks, sustain livelihood to give food on the table and give the necessities that they need these past 11 months. So, you know, did it help everyone? I surely hope so, because everyone was encouraged to apply, and I hope that everyone was able to, you know, receive the unemployment assistance. But no, I'm not against it. I think we need to discuss it, and we need to all come to the table and talk about it. But like I said, Bree, nothing prevented them from doing it previously. Why didn't the administration and the legislature do it is beyond me. And that's probably a question that we can ask the 35th Democrat-controlled legislature and the administration, why they didn't implement it. You know, they saw other things that were more important. And if that was such an important issue and subject to them, then they should have brought it up and addressed it.
Right, but we are, you know, we can look back, right? But we're also, you know, this whole thing is about let's get Guam moving forward.
Oh, definitely. And that's why I said we still need to come to the table. I'm more than willing to go to the table and let's talk about this. And that's what I said. We need to come to the table and talk about all these issues, because what is it that we're going to help with our families and our community in the future? And how do we prevent this type of issues from resurfacing again? We need to address it. And that's the way we're going to do it. Have to address it. I just brought that up because I didn't understand why they didn't address it in the 35th with the current administration, but we're willing to address it in the 36th with the current administration. So, you know, there's nothing that prevents anyone from coming to the table to talk about these issues, and everything needs to be brought to the table, because that's how we're going to get our island moving.
Right, well, talking about coming to the table, you know, I just had a chance to read over this statement by your colleague, Senator-elect Joanne Brown, and she says that she fully supports any initiative that will jumpstart Guam's economic recovery and put people back into jobs and money back into the hands of our families. However, any initiative to get Guam moving will require more than just the ideas of a few. It will require cross-sector collaboration with all three branches of government and leaders from our private sectors. That being said, I am open and interested in learning more about Senator Moylan's plans to get Guam moving. Was she not brought to the table?
Oh, no, absolutely. All of us were brought to the table. Senator Moylan invited all of us to look at the bills and, you know, review it. And when you look at exactly what that means, man, let's look at every initiative. Let's look at every, if the bills that we were looking at introducing were not brought out, perhaps the governor wouldn't have moved her economic diversification committee forward, and she would have waited on that. But you see, it opens doors, and that's what it's about: opening doors, opening communication, bringing folks together, and everyone now coming saying, hey, let's work together and see how we can do these things and make it come to fruition.
Senator Moylan?
Right. Sure. Yes, and I thank Senator Joanne Brown for her statement, and I do agree that it takes a cooperation of the entire the branches, right? Legislature is just one. If these measures move forward, It's going to take the governor to sign it into law. So yes, it has to be a cooperative effort. There's going to be other bills introduced by other senators as well, Republicans and our colleagues on the Democrat side too. This is just a common theme that we could, probably all look at together to get the island moving forward. This is just a first measure. This is the first attempt, and it seems to have pushed some buttons, as Senator Ada has said, and moving things forward. And what I see it as, again, this is just my second term. The 35th went really fast, and I think the 36th is going to go even quicker. And the people of Guam are not waiting. They want to see action, and they need help now. And unless we do something quickly, it could be just, we wish we did it earlier. So timing is important, and getting things moving forward is necessary. We'll get some public hearings on this. We'll get some possibly amendments, do some committee work on it, get it to the floor, and hopefully pass. That's all going to take more and more time. And by that time, hopefully more legislation is introduced so we can get that total package and cooperate with our bipartisan legislatures here, and as well as the governor, to really help the island grow. So I thank the senator for her comments, and yes, we will continue to work closely as a team. So thank you.
All right. We have one comment here, and I thought it was interesting. Hopefully you are all not thinking of reopening bars, bingo, etc. I thought that was interesting because I think in the latest executive order, bingo halls, I think they are allowed to partially reopen, and we actually have seen more and more businesses that have reopened. But what are you hearing about in terms of like bars? Because I'm still trying to understand, why bars aren't open. And I don't really go to the bars, but bars are still closed, but yet, like game rooms, amusement parks. Do we have an amusement park on Guam? What are your thoughts on the latest executive order handed down by the governor?
Well, Bree, let me chime in on this one. First off, like you, I'm just as confused, and I'm sure as it is many other people, of what rhyme or reason was used to be able to come up with these new set of rules. You can open the, like you said, the game rooms and bingo halls, but you don't allow other businesses that don't attract as many people at any given time to be able to open. One of the things that I'd like to see is basically a discussion of the process. It seems to be a lot of the decisions on what to do, when to do it, is done in a vacuum. You told the businesses, you told the restaurants last week on Thursday that on Saturday morning they can open up to a limited amount, in the in their establishments. Really, when you're running a business, you would appreciate a little bit more lead time so that you can start to prepare for this. And what does it take? Do I even have the employees to be able to do this stuff? So, one of the things I'd like to encourage, and it's going to be encouraged actually in the 36, is let's have a little bit more transparency and a little bit more participation. One of the things that we've talked about all morning long here is community cooperation. We've got to be able to encourage that even more. These bills, like you said, it's but 3 measures of many more that's going to come. These are 3 measures that are going to be deliberated amongst everybody that's on the floor, as well as with the community. Can the language change in it? Sure. Will it pass? Hopefully. But there's still that whole process that has to go on. It takes a discussion, and that's what we want to be able to do. Is we want to have a discussion so that we can start to get things moving. Because there hasn't been any discussion.
Anybody else? Nope.
Yeah, Bree. So I'm gonna reach out to my brother Frank first and offer him my first bill that I'll be introducing. which is going to require the governor to, after the first 30 days of enacting the emergency, to come down to the legislature, any governor, not just this governor, it's a revision of the statute. Under any emergency, come down to the legislature after the first 30 days and get legislative approval for the additional 30 days and everything beyond. You know, Bree, Frank is right. I mean, I guess maybe there has been communication and collaboration with game rooms and some other, you know, owners. Good for them with talking to the administration, perhaps. But if we had a legislative hearing after the first 30 days, maybe the restaurants and the bars would have been at the legislature clamoring and showing that they've invested millions of dollars to mitigate issues and proving that they're not super spreaders. Maybe there would be other businesses that would come down and say, hey, I'm a charter business. I got local charters, please open me. You know, I got people that have disposable income here that want to go fishing. Why can't I take my customers fishing? You know, there are things like that it's the people's house where people speak. And when people speak at the people's house, the voices get heard. I love the link. I listen every day. The thing is that you guys cover what happens at the legislature because that's our government. That's the people's house. And so Frank is exactly right. And I know Jim and Tony feel the same way. They've already committed to signing on to my legislation. But, you know, you can't collaborate if you're not talking. Any therapist will tell you, when you're not speaking to each other, you can't fix a problem. And right now, the problem that I've seen more than anything else has been a lack of communication.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up, and I'll just give you guys just your final comments, starting with you, Senator Moylan.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Andy, and thank you, Bree, and my colleagues. You know, Monday we're going to be sworn in as the 36th Guam legislature, and it's I think we have a great responsibility to the people, and we are teaming up to make things happen. And we're letting you know that we're already at work before we even swore in. And there's a lot of things that we need to do to help our economy grow. And this is just a start. So with the people, listening to the people and working with the media and doing the right things, we hope we can go through this pandemic together with a healthy family, with our health, and also in addition to that, putting people back to work and helping our business community prosper once again. So I thank you for this opportunity.
Senator Ada?
Yeah, thank you, Andy. Thank you, Sabrina. You know, we look forward to the 36th Guam legislature. You know, these are not just ideas of, you know, Senator Blas, myself, Senator Moylan, and Senator Dueñas. These are ideas that have been talked about in the previous legislature. And all we need to do is just come together and, you know, both sides of the aisle with the administration, you know, let's include the judiciary and how services are being affected on in all three branches of the government, and look forward to working together. And let's just get our island moving forward again. You know, our people have been hurting for the past 11 months. Let's do what we can to stop the hurt and start to recover. You know, let's work on, you know, bringing back our tourists, you know, sooner than what they're talking about, and hopefully get our businesses back open again. But that's what we're doing, is looking to what we can do to continue moving our island forward. Thank you, Bree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Senator Blas.
Once again, Andy, Bree, thank you very much for this opportunity to have this discussion, you know, and you know, I joined with Chris and Tony and Jim, and I know that later on, sometime in the term, you know, hopefully there'll be others. But you know, like Tony and Jim, and I'm sure Chris has also stated, this is but ideas that we can bring to the table. I agree with Tony. Everything's got to be on the table here. We're at that point here. I agree with Chris. One of the concerns and that we've got to work on is the communication. But just as important too, this is, you know, this is not about the government of Guam. This is about the people of Guam. This is about our community. Government is a part of it, but it doesn't have to take on everything. I mean, you know, we've got to look to now, okay, bringing those services and making sure that those people, okay, who live on this island, have a basically a means and a way to live on this island, not have to leave, okay? Because as if people leave and people don't have their jobs, you know, this whole discussion about minimum wage and fixing the roads and other things, it's not going to happen. So it's going to be a tedious process, and it's going to be a process that we're going to have naysayers, and people that are going to agree and they're going to disagree. But that's what's necessary to make sure that at the end of the day, we have a product, we have an initiative, we have a law, we have a mandate, you know, or we have a way to be able to continue life, but now getting back up on our feet and prospering. That's what we want.
All right. And Senator Duenas.
Bree, Andy, and to the entire KUM family, once again, thank you for this opportunity. You know, I never thought I would need to, but I wish I would have saved my my report cards when I was in elementary school, because believe it or not, I used to get an E under works well with others. And so I want to take this opportunity, because the four of us, I think, have repeated this over and over again. We want to work with the other 11 members, our friend Joanne and everybody else. We really, really want this to be a collaborative effort. We can't wait to be invited by the governor to come down to either sign these bills or to discuss them, in detail. And as my friends have said with the judiciary, I want to work with everyone. There is no way we can get things done unless we work with everyone. And with that, I want to say once again, belated Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you, Bree, Andy, and the KUM family, and to the people of Guam. And believe me, I know at least for the four of us, you're going to see us continue to get an E when it comes to working well with others.
All right. So who's minority leader?
Ooh,
A Republican.
a Republican, that's right.
Will that announcement be coming out before Friday?
The announcement will be made. That's definite.
All right. All right.
We'll definitely let you know. Thank you.
Okay. Session's adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll reconvene on Monday.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All right. You can read the Let's Get Guam Moving proposal via Senator James Moylan, Senators-elect Tony Atticus Duenas, and Frank Blas Jr. On our website. Stay tuned. We'll have more on the link after